Hello and welcome to the 167 podcast. In today's episode, we're speaking about vision, how to be a people of vision, casting vision, and living a life of vision. Stick around. There's a saying in the Bible that everybody in your room, in a coffee shop, Hello and welcome everybody to the 167 podcast. We are so excited to see you and to be with you today for another episode. We hope that you have been enjoying what we've been putting out there and our recent kind of walk through the book of 1 Timothy. And today we're going to be moving things forward. But before we say anything else, just a welcome to all of our viewers. A welcome to my co-host wearing a very cool Cape Town City shirt today.
I love it. I'm really loving the shirt. It's probably the closest to pink I'm ever going to wear.
It looks quite breezy.
But I went for intentionally because we did that
star
celebration and putt because we hit 500 subscribers on the church's channel.
Come on, somebody.
Which is just an awesome privilege to see that happen. And so, I thought, let me go with light and breezy.
Yeah, it looks cool and it works. I think it's one of the cooler, like South Africa doesn't tend to have a lot of really cool kind of home football shirts. I think it's one of the cooler ones.
Yeah, I agree. They said so too. They're like, would you like the home kits or this kit? I'm like, I think this one's nicer. Like, this is the nice one.
When selling it, they're like, no, they're both awesome. Get both.
Yeah, totally.
So we want to welcome everybody to the podcast today. If you are a first-time guest or visitor, geez, awesome. Welcome. We hope that you enjoy the time with us. If you are watching on YouTube, then you're going to see the video. But if you're joining us on any of the online platforms, please feel free to rate us, leave comments, leave any type of information, or you can even get hold of us on Instagram. We've got an Instagram page, the 167 podcast, unless it goes down again, because this week all of the what do you mean you heard? Surely you felt the brunt of that. You're not that close to God that you would just disconnect. You just didn't even know about it.
I intentionally took Monday. Listen, I just heard this incredible sermon on Sunday about fasting something in the week, and so I'm like, I'm going to do my best to do media-free Monday, like social media specifically. Because what happens is, you feel like, oh, wow, church was amazing. And then you see everybody else's church service and you go, I suck. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm staying off social media as far as possible. And then I heard on Tuesday, like everyone going this massive thing. Facebook was down.
It was bonkers. Mark Zuckerberg apparently has lost, he's dropped in places with regards to his worth and stuff. Apparently he took a huge loss because of that kind of few hours of outage. And people feel disconnected.
And what was...
No, seriously, like a big way. People are like, they're like Twitter apparently just gained a whole bunch of new people because everyone just flooded Twitter because it was the only way they could connect and speak. And
apparently Twitter's where it's at, huh?
I hear that. I mean, you say that.
Well, yeah. Me and everyone over the age of 52. But leaders are there, that's what I'm saying. But and there's like this massive uproar I heard. And there's
huge, yeah.
I'm like, guys... It's just a few hours. It's not the end of the world.
Do you know what is still scary to me is that this whole TikTok thing is like so big and I'm like not on it. And I'm actually starting to feel guilty that I'm not on TikTok because you're on TikTok. You're utilizing that platform.
I am.
And you're getting views and it's like it's working for you and I'm not on there yet.
I can't say it's working or not working, but what is interesting is that I don't know any of the people who are following me.
Okay.
But which is trying to get content
that can be pretty cool,
help people, encourage people. I did have actually someone who asked about the podcast. So I directed
on
them
TikTok?
on TikTok. They listened to one of those little snippets.
Yeah, that we share.
So that's a reason to be on our Instagram because on Instagram you'll find our little snippets. Yeah. And we're getting way off course here, but we should talk about social media at some point. Definitely.
I think that'll be a great conversation.
I think so.
But for today, obviously we've been having some really cool conversations traveling through the book of 1 Timothy.
It's been good.
We've loved it. We've loved being able to do that. And today we're going to be maybe looking at things slightly different, still looking through the eyes of a leader and looking at some really cool leadership-focused questions. But we're going to be looking at some content that actually originates with a guy called Phil Pringle. I believe it's Leadership 101.
Leadership 101, yeah.
So we're going to be having a look at a few things today. And today specifically, we're going to be looking at vision.
Yes.
Really what vision is, firstly, how to cast it. Because we know that all leaders need a vision.
That's right.
All leaders need a where we want to be, where our people need to be, where we want to go, the direction we want to go in. And then after that comes how are we going to get there? How does it look like? But we need that starting point. We need that starting place.
That's
vision
right.
is so important for all leaders.
It is critical. Critical.
For anybody watching, you don't have to be a business leader or a church leader, but you can have vision for your life.
That's right. That's right. And just to give the people, to the guys, a sort of framework of what Leadership 101 is all about, it's just 6 areas in the life of every leader that has to be cultivated.
Good.
Like I think you won't always be strong in all of these areas.
No.
And I'm certainly not. But it is something that needs to be cultivated in life. And so leaders do these things. So in the previous episodes, we've done a lot about like qualities of leadership. Like
we're looking at quite a personal take on it.
Yes, like character. These are more skill sets that you can learn, right? So character is developed and skill sets are learned. And these are the 6 skill sets in a way that a leader can develop in their life.
Yeah. So we'll probably be talking about some of these things for the next few weeks.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It would be awesome for guys to join us and commit to that.
That's right.
But as we start talking about vision and the topic of vision is something that has been huge for me personally, has been huge since joining a church and being a part of a church staff, because vision plays an incredibly vital role in the life of a church leader. And I don't think we'll just limit it to ministry, but in a church leader, because as a church, there are things that we want to do. You don't want to fall into the trap of just kind of going Sunday to Sunday, ticking a box. You want to be, I think all leaders in their hearts really want to be effective.
Yes.
And they really want to make a difference, and they really want to kind of move the needle forward. And for church, I mean, it's even bigger. It's about, what can we do with God? What can we do, and how can we change our community? For your side, has vision been something, thinking about a vision for yourself and then even for a church, is it something that's been natural for you to, is it been a natural concept for you to do, or has it been something that you've had to work on? Like what is, and I'm trying to be as vague, because for me, vision has always been challenging in a sense of my personality. I'm very good at what's in front of me, but as soon as you make me think about 5 or 10 years, that's a challenge for me. I think I've gotten better.
Yes.
For you, has it been like something like,
I think it's probably part of my makeup, which vision has always been something natural for me. I don't have to work hard at dreaming about the future.
Yeah.
For me, the challenge comes into, okay, cool, like let's go, like this is what I can see, and I've dreamt a lot, but where I've had to learn is, okay, what can we do now?
Maybe the mechanics.
So, the mechanics of it, to take steps forward in that, because like dreaming is free.
Yeah.
But vision costs you, because you actually have to do something to get there.
Yeah.
And I think it's in the heart of God. Like, I mean, there's that scripture, I think it's in Proverbs, that without vision, people cast off restraint.
Yeah.
And so if there's no vision, anything looks good and any option looks good. So I can live my life day to day, and whether I get to where I want to or not doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But when I have a vision, there's some things I have to say no to in order for me to say yes to that vision. And I think that's probably the discipline of vision, which is something that I've struggled with.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to be ripped and in shape, except I don't want to give up the burgers and that kind of thing. So, but I think vision is in the heart of God, that there's a preferred future for us, and that's really what it is what is in the future that looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it that you dream about? And I've often struggled, the areas in vision that I've struggled in is this what I want, or is this what God wants?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Christians can get caught up and stuck in that.
Yeah.
And actually listening to some of what Phil Pringle was talking about almost set me free a little bit to say, you know what, maybe God wants what you want. Or if you're close enough to the Lord, like what you want is what God wants.
Yeah.
And vision is, you want to get, there's places to get vision, but sometimes vision can also just be part of what your imagination is, like what, just sitting and thinking about it and dreaming about it. Like, what does that feel like for you?
What gets you excited?
Yeah.
What are you passionate about? And what do you think God is calling you to? So maybe just a simple question. Do you think all leaders need vision? Do you think we need a vision? Is it something that has to happen at the beginning of your leadership journey? Two-parter. Do we need a vision? So I'm like, hey, simple question. Then 5 questions later. Do you think it's important that we have vision? And where does it have to start right in the beginning, or is it something that maybe can develop and become clearer over a period of time?
Yeah, it's a good question. Vision for me is, I think it's essential for a leader. I really do. I don't always think that you need to have a person, I don't think it always has to be your vision at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to serve someone else's vision
Very
until
good.
you have a vision.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to try and develop a personal vision for your life. Otherwise, again, everything is yes. But there are some things we need to say no to.
Yeah.
And so, do I have a vision for a group of people that I'm leading? Do I have a vision for my life? And I think that's where it starts in the life of a leader. And so, I think that's where it develops. And I don't know if that answers the question. I think, yes, a leader needs a vision. But that vision can develop over time.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a vision for your personal life. And I think then you need to start dreaming for what it is that you're leading.
Yeah.
Because until you do that, I don't think you can live out your calling. You know, you might not be a visionary person, but you can still have a vision.
Yeah.
You know, I think visionary people dream and they think about future. They think about big things. But whatever's relating to your life is big. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to you. It's a big deal to God. And I think it's about how we go about discovering what that vision is.
Yeah.
And quite simply, I love a guy called Bill Hybels. He defined this in a way for me in vision that really helped me. It's a vision is a picture of the future that produces passion.
Love that.
And I was like, what is it in the future that I can be excited about? That's what you said.
Good. Yeah.
And so, I think that's answering your
It
question.
does fully, man. And I fully agree in a big way about having vision. Firstly, I think it's vital. I think it's going to be very difficult to stay motivated. Is not the right word. I think focused if you don't have a vision. And you mentioned that twice. That you spoke about parameters and you spoke about boundaries, but in the best way. Because if you've got a vision and you've got a direction for yourself or for maybe a group of people that you're leading or for a company, and you're like, hey, this is where we want to be. This is the preferred future. If we could in 10 years be doing this, affecting this, helping these types of people, then that starts to help you understand, okay, well, what are we going to say yes to today? And what are we going to say no to today that's going to take us a step closer to that? Because if it's a 10-year plan, we know that after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, it might not even feel like we're close yet, or a 5-year plan. But if we're able to say, well, if that's who we want to be, and that decision doesn't actually line up with who we want to be or the type of language or the type of people we want to affect, you're able to then today already, your vision is giving you clarity today. Even though the vision might only be something that could potentially come to fruition in a few years' time, it's already giving you clarity. Yeah. It's already showing you, hey, today this is the type, you want to be that type of leader, well, that type of leader makes these types of decisions.
That's right.
And for me, that's been one of the biggest things.
That's right.
Being able to say, like personally, my vision that I'm running with at the moment is our church's vision, the vision you've given for our church. And for me, it's been phenomenal because it's been able to help me. Yeah, there's things that I would love to do in my life and for my family, but I've been able to be focused. Yeah. Because our church and you have given us a vision of, well, this is what we want to do. And to be honest, like my vision one day is not super different from the vision that we've got. Like it's about changing lives. It's about seeing revival in a nation. And for me, I'm like, I can give my life to that. Totally. And I'd love to give my life to that. And I think when there's a vision, we speak about passion. I think if your vision, the vision that you've got, or the leader's vision that you're under, if it's something that you can say like, geez, I could see myself, I could give my life for this type of thing. And not in a weird way, but like I could sacrifice for this. I could pour energy into this. I can pour resource into this. I could move for this type of thing. I think you set yourself up to really be in a position to be effective. And it makes me think about leaders that have done amazing things. We see maybe the results and we see the end of the day and they've got their thing and they're doing their stuff, but we don't see the initial planning stages of the vision and of this is what I feel God's calling us to do, and then the sacrifice. That's right. And then everything that follows, and then being able to say yes today or no today because of the parameters that the vision gives you. So I would say as a leader, I'm like, either identify something for yourself or if there's like you're in church or whatever and there's a great vision, just give your all for that. Yeah. And when the time's right, God could reveal something personal when it's time for you to maybe shift or do something different.
Absolutely. I think it's like vision, it's got to remain in some sense malleable. Yeah. So you get a picture, and that picture you got to keep on defining and refining. And
it's not a hard copy right from the beginning.
It's not. And obviously people can go cop out and go, oh, my vision is going to shrink because of what I've got.
Or because of my circumstances.
Vision should be large and expansive.
Good, that's good.
It should
say. Very true.
if it's a really big vision, it should take God and a lifetime to complete.
Yeah, it should freak you out a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, a leader has to have vision, but then he's also got to be a vision caster.
Good.
And vision casting is probably one of the areas that I struggle with, because you think it makes sense to everybody else. And they say that, as a vision caster, when you're sick of it, that's when you're starting to cast vision.
Yeah.
And I'm at that point where, I'm feeling sick of saying the same things.
Is that speaking into like repetitive language?
Repetitive language.
And constantly just affirming the same, like every week, the same things, like really hitting it home. So that
always tying it back, always elevating. Always
you wake up somebody in the middle of the night, and in the middle of the night you say, well, what do we believe?
Exactly.
And they should be able to tell you.
Exactly. So, and that's it. But to bring it down to like the basic level, I think like let's give guys an opportunity to go, wait, I don't know if I've got a vision for my life.
Yeah, let's start it back.
Let's start first. Hey, everyone needs a vision for themselves. And then you can start dreaming for a vision for your organization or for your family or whatever. So I think it's just to go, what is so for instance, what Lara and I have done, we've written down some personal vision items. Like we've got a vision for our marriage that we want to celebrate.
Oh, that's awesome.
50 years of marriage. That's like a big vision for us.
Phenomenal.
And then vision for parenting is like that when Samuel, my son, moves out of house, he actually wants to come. And
I've actually heard you say that a few times.
Yeah. A vision for our finances is that we live in margin and that we grow in generosity.
Yeah.
So what a budget for your life is actually a vision for your future.
Very good.
Because if you haven't got a budget, and we struggle with this a lot. Some seasons we budget well, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
But if we don't budget, it means we don't have a vision for the future, for our finances.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that hits home to me a lot.
Pretty much.
So like that's what a vision really is. Like what is it about the future that I want to see? I can see it. I'm going to live in it. I'm going to dream it. I'm going to taste it. And then we have to actually build a way to get there.
Yeah.
But you can't build a way to get there if you can't see where you want to go.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage people to dream about what do you think you want to get to, and where do you think God wants you to get to?
Yeah.
And at the intersection of those 2 points, I think you've got something really compelling for your life.
I love that. And even on the topic of vision casting, and then you bring it back to, hey, it's their personal vision. I think we'll become maybe more effective vision casters if we've lived a life of, hey, there's a personal vision and I kind of know what it takes.
Yeah.
Or I know what the cost is, and I know what it means to have a preferred future that might not be my today's reality, but it's something we're working towards and we're making decisions for. I think once we've lived that and made those decisions, I think we can be a bit more effective in our vision casting because we understand what we're calling people to
100%.
In a big way. And then we get better at saying, well, hey, this is the repetitiveness of a budget. This is the repetitiveness of making good parenting decisions, or making good marriage decisions. Like we want to be married for 50 years, plus we still want to love each other.
Yeah, exactly, totally.
So we'll do things today that other couples might be like, geez, that's over the top, or like, okay. But we'll do that today because that's what we want. And then we then transfer those principles over. Like if you've got a team and you've got a picture for your church or for your organization, you already understand, hey, there is and I don't like the word repetitive because it kind of sounds, but it is. It's an ability to. And do you think there's an element of being able to make something repetitive compelling? Or is there a pressure to that that's like you don't want to keep trying to repackage? It's that, and that's what it is, and that's what's going to get us there. Is there a pressure to make it continually just fresh and compelling? Because that's quite tough. But you want people to be there, and you want people to be like, okay, I'm with you, and then to stay with you.
Totally. There's a guy called Paul Scanlon who's now teaching something on like, we all have a destination, but you actually got to build the yellow brick road to get there. Yeah. And that's just
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the key things you have to keep on doing and putting in place to get there. We all have a vision for friendships, to have people and to connect with people. So we all brush our teeth every day.
Yeah.
That's repetitive. It's not necessarily very exciting, but it's just part of what we do now. I think the key is having if your vision isn't white hot on the inside of you, then I think you will lose out in the mundane. But I also heard someone say once, we got to look at the significance of the mundane, the miraculous in the mundane. Yeah, it's doesn't seem big, but enough of those tasks put together actually helps you to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
And so you've just got to keep the the white hot like passion on the inside of you. So that's why we actually pray over our vision, because I want to keep getting it deeper into my heart. I'll keep praying into that vision. God, this is what we want to see. God, I'm prophesying this. I'm going to speaking this over our life. Because you want to keep it white hot, so that when you go, do I really need to have another prayer meeting?
Yeah.
Well, this is why we're having the prayer meeting. Oh, okay, cool. Like, and that's a good motivator.
Yeah.
To help and to step into that. So, yeah, I think, you know what, if we're not willing to do the mundane things, then the vision is a dream.
Yeah.
And it's only going to ever stay there.
I'm thinking about something now, and I wonder if there's a correlation. I saw a lot of stuff growing up, and even today, that it's great if you've got goals. So vision, vision might contain some goals that you've got. And they say if you've got goals, it's really good to write them down and to have them written and to have them in front of you. Now, we had a guy in high school, I won't name names, but he is a professional rugby player now, and he's doing very well for himself, and he's achieved on a very high level. And he was one of these guys, and it was very strange in a boys' school, because normally you just wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
You're scared of what
yeah.
people think. Or it's like,
Totally.
this guy. But he'd have these goals of, I'm going to play SA Schools. I'm going to play Craven Week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve on this level. And then and it was so crazy because he did all those things.
Wow.
And obviously there's an element of, okay, the guy's a very good rugby player. And but he still kind of took the time. And what he did was he wrote it down, and then he put it in his bedroom kind of cupboard.
Yeah.
And I just saw it the one time. And I'm just like, that's interesting. Because all those things he wanted to do hadn't happened yet.
Yes.
And he's like, no, I just write them down. I see it every day. And you talk about cultivating kind of a hot why and doing that through prayer. I think it's probably the most important. But also when you've got vision, do you think there's a correlation between writing stuff down, seeing something? Because we're talking about repetitiveness, and we're talking about, we want to speak about it. What about seeing it like every day? And just because people, the statistics say that if you write things down, there is a percentage higher chance that you're actually going to achieve and do those things. Do you think that comes
100%.
together when we talk about repetitiveness? Do you think those two things are correlated in a way?
100%. I 100% agree about it. In fact, people go on further to say, which we've still got to do, but do like a vision board where you draw it, so you're seeing it in picture.
Wow.
So
Just don't get me to do that.
absolutely, because you're drawn to what you see.
Yeah.
Right, and it reminds you of what you're saying no to, and why you're saying no to it. So, for instance, this might shock some people, but we try as a family not to overcrowd our weekends. Why? Because I have a vision to love that my family and we're strong.
Yeah.
We're healthy, and so we say no to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so that's what writing it down does for you. Because I have to say no to that, so that I can say yes to this. In fact, I think Phil Pringle teaches that passage where who's the guy? Whose name was Israel, came from Isaac. Is it Isaac? No.
Came from Abraham. Jacob.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Thank you. His name was changed to Israel. He was known as a deceiver and all that, and he was
usurper.
looking after his father-in-law, or his like his family members' sheep, his uncle's sheep, right? And then he made this deal, like, okay, can I have the spotted lambs kind of thing? And that's his payment structure. And so he says, like, as soon as the spotted lambs would come to feed, he would show them a picture. And then when the other lambs would come, he would take that picture away, so that he would so that eventually the whole herd became spotted. This massive herd became spotted, and all of the weak and frail ones remained with Laban, like his uncle's sheep.
Yeah.
So in that way, he says, so you're always putting a picture, and that draws that picture out.
Yeah. Wow.
And so writing it down, I think there's a science to it. Like, you retain more memory when you write things down.
Yeah.
But I think it also just sharpens your focus.
Yeah.
That's a long answer to a very simple question. But
It kind of brought me to that. And I think for the people that are listening today and even watching could be saying, well, a next step, what could be the first thing to do? And I think if I'm just thinking about myself, and if I wasn't having the conversations that I'm privileged enough to have and do in our meetings and stuff, I think the first thing that I would need to do is actually just make myself aware if there is a vision already happening that I'm a part of. Because I think, and I'll clarify, I think there's a lot of people that, let's just take our church, for example, that are in our church, but actually don't really know what our vision is, or don't really know the direction in which the church wants to go. And that's fine. It could be an element of, we've got to get better at getting it out there. But I think for people that are watching today, I would say a great first step, because we're talking about personal vision, and that's easier to maybe put together, and you can think about your family and where you want to be. So that's great. But I would think on a different level, on the vision of something bigger than yourself, bigger than your family, I would just go and try to make myself aware of what my organization is doing. If you're an employee or if you're in a church, what is the vision? And then immerse yourself in it. Then get involved in it. Then find out a role, find out a way that you can participate in it. And I think in that way, you can begin to be made passionate about it, and you begin to see yourself a part of something bigger. And I think once we are a part of something bigger, then we get revealed more and the picture becomes clearer for ourselves and for other organizations. But I think a lot of us are a part of a lot of things we don't really know. Where's this church going, or where's this business going?
You're right. And I love what you say, because those people become the most valuable people in an organization. People who are actually building the vision, not building just something else.
Or building what's in front of them, building that, I'm a part of this and I know what my job is. And I'm going to do my job. And it's cool, that's great. We love that. But are we building into who we are, into what we want to become? Are we making those types of decisions? And we've got opportunities to do that today, wherever we're based, church, business, all of these things. Is to find out, okay, well, what is it? And then, so maybe it's attending a DNA course, or finding out what that is exactly, or just asking the question.
Being a part of it, 100%. I remember listening to this talk by Simon Sinek. It's a brilliant TED talk, massive views all over the world.
He's a beast.
He says people don't buy into what you do, they buy into why you do it. And so it's just keeping that why so strong.
Good.
Why motivates, why brings passion, why gives excitement, why gives direction. How you do it is not really important. It's just that we're going the right journey. So what I would encourage people to do is to actually take 2 hours somewhere and just to sit and just write down and think about, what do I want for the future?
It's a great question.
Starting point. Because vision takes time. You can't just go, oh, this is what I feel like doing. There's very few people who actually have that ingrained in them. You actually got to sit down and think it through and pray it through. Habakkuk chapter 2, I love it, where he says, where the writer of Habakkuk, he goes, he goes to the tower, and he goes there to see what the Lord would say to him. So you actually have to pull yourself away from what you're normally doing. And the best place to do that is to do it in prayer and actually pray, God, I want a vision from you. God, help me to see. I think often it'll come as a picture on your imagination. This is what I have an imagination about what that could be, and that's God-given. It's creative. You're creating something. You're stepping into something that's not there yet. That's why we're such a creative, right? Humanity is creative, born of God, because we're actually designing futures, creating futures. Something that's not there is becoming there purely because you're thinking about it. And so just take that time to think and dream and write it down. Is just you got to do it.
It's invaluable, and it could happen over a few sessions.
Of course,
you might sit down and get interrupted and just try again. And I'd love to just say that it should be scary. It should be, scary in a very positive way. Scary in that it's big. Scary in that it seems, geez, how would we ever get there? I mean, we don't have the means, we don't have the time, let it be something so big and so audacious. And I love that, so that God can get the glory in your personal life, in your business, in your work life. So when you are structuring this thing, don't play it safe.
100%.
Don't put a goal in place that you're like, I think I could get that. It's step out, trust God for something amazing, because we always want what those people have, the people that have done incredible things. We just don't know how they got there. So we'll start with a dream, started with time. And so I think for us, let's not play it safe as people, especially people of God, people that trust God, who with man it is impossible, but with God it's possible to dream in these vision moments where we're just sitting at home or in our gardens and to just think, well, what's something audacious that I can think about for my family and for my church, and then put that down. Scary.
The reality is, if you don't have vision, you're going nowhere.
Anyway,
And as a Christian, Jesus has got a vision for your life. It's to be a disciple and to make disciples. That's huge. That's big. I mean, that's massive. To become more like Jesus. What a great vision. When I look at where I am to where Jesus is calling me to, that's powerful. And for instance, our church, we've got a vision that's so big, it's impossible if God didn't do something. A revival for the city. Revival in our generation. That is massive. How can I look and go, God, this is impossible without you. But that's exactly the point.
Good.
And so what we do is now we try activate everything we can. And if God blesses it, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
If not, well, at least we're working towards something.
Yeah.
And I just think we need to step out of our comfort zone, because small things don't inspire people.
Yeah.
And this is where I think maybe the conversation shifts from having a personal vision to now actually telling people about it.
Yeah.
Because when you tell people about it, you will draw in resources that you never had before.
Yeah.
You know, as a businessman, you might not have any staff members, but if you cast a vision maybe to your banker, your accountant, or something like that, you can start building a plan with their expertise.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is what I think I want. This is where I want my business to go.
Yeah.
What can we do? And the banker might come up with an idea, and the accountant might come up with an
Yeah.
idea, and there you're building a plan together now.
Yeah.
If you don't have big vision, you're not going to attract any kind of resource to get there. You know, nobody wants to go, oh wow, your vision is so small, you can do it by yourself. Well, that's cool, man. You go for it.
Yeah. I think if you think about it from that point of view, it's like, well, if you are going to lead something one day, what type of people would you want following you? Would you want big dreamers, big thinkers, audacious people, or would you want small thinkers, people that play it safe and that never kind of trust God for something miraculous? I think most of us would say, no, we want people who dream for the biggest.
Yeah.
Well, those people are not going to be attracted to a leader
Yeah.
who's got a small vision
Yeah.
and who's thinking small and who's playing it safe. They want to. People with that type of mindset, they want to be challenged and they want to be in a place where, geez, well, this vision is so big.
Yeah.
Let me try and do this
Yeah.
one first, and then we can have a go at something else.
That's right, dude. I want to ask you, why would you think that, in your perspective, that people wouldn't like sharing their vision with others?
I think there's elements to it of firstly insecurity in a big way. I think if you are dreaming big and you've got something massive that you'd like to do with your life or with your business, I think sharing it is you're quite vulnerable.
It is vulnerable.
Yeah, you put yourself out there, you show what you'd love to do. And I think if enough people are just like, you're crazy, because that's how a lot of the best things have either started or died. It's someone just saying that'll never happen. Or,
That's true.
Or you're crazy, or
That's true.
You're going to fail. And then it's the guys that have chosen to rise above that critique, have gone on to do amazing things. But how many millions of amazing dreams and visions have died at the critique or at the voice of somebody in your life? So I think we'd be scared of that.
100%.
And then there might be an element of you don't want somebody else. You'd want to keep what's yours, and you'd want to run with it. But I think less of that. I think primarily it's along the lines of, I don't want anybody to think that I'm a crazy person, or I don't want anybody to think that like what I'm trying to do. Yeah, because you hear that enough, it can be so demoralizing. I think from my perspective, I'm like, that would be the big thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I want people to think Phil's a realist, and he'll. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, part of being a Christ follower is dreaming for the biggest things. So I think we'd want to avoid that. I think personally that's what I would think people struggle with the most.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, because there is a cost to putting yourself out there, because it's your deepest self that you're putting on display, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations.
Kind of opening up.
And worried about people going, you're not enough.
Yeah.
I've struggled with that a lot. That's why I've struggled with communicating vision, because I'm like, sometimes I speak and it looks like, wow, Sven, here goes Sven again.
Do you think it's an element of, some people think, okay, that vision is cool and big, but I don't think you're the guy. I don't think you're the guy to do that.
Yeah.
That could be hectic.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's like, what the Israelites saw when they went into the promised land. You had Joshua and Caleb said, guys, we can do it. God is bigger than these giants. And the Israelites were like, yeah, but we look like grasshoppers in our own eyes. And I think that's the thing. We think that vision is so big, that's surely not me. Like,
that's not me.
It's not me.
It's very personal. Yeah.
And that's where faith comes into it.
Yeah.
Because we need to be believers that God can do impossible things through us.
Yeah.
And that's really what drives the vision that I feel like God's given to me and to our church, is that, yes, in my own strength, this is completely impossible.
Yeah.
But that's where God specializes. That's where he does his best work. And that's why we need people with vision to go, those giants are big, but have you seen God?
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's even okay if people do kind of have that sentiment of, I don't think it's you. I think one of the coolest vision statements was when that angel found Gideon kind of hiding and calls him, you're the mighty warrior. You're the guy. And literally in that moment, he was hiding.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that he was the smallest from the smallest tribe and the lowliest. So that alone was enough to say, I don't know if you're the guy. Maybe someone from the big clan, from the big tribe. But literally in that moment, he was hiding away from people.
Yes.
And then the angel speaks a vision statement and says, you're a mighty warrior.
Yes.
And then Gideon later steps into that, speaking something that's not yet there, even if it's so far from there. It's like, but that's so cool that we've got a God that's like, even if it doesn't matter if it's just not there, it's just like, it's so far from there as well.
Yes.
It's like, even in that moment, our God is calling us to be people that then right now, I'm that guy or I'm that girl, or I'm going to speak it into being, even if I've never been that way inclined or a good communicator or whatever the deal is. I think God is calling me to that.
That's right.
But that starts, it's got to be from God.
Absolutely.
So that does, like you said, it does start in those personal moments, those times where you're formulating, where you're figuring out, hey, what has God called me to? Because you still need to be the guy. Like Gideon in that moment, if he told his friends, hey, like I'm a mighty warrior, he would have heard the flack of, no, you're not.
You're hiding.
You're the hiding guy.
Yeah.
You're hiding away. You're not that
guy. Where were you when they attacked? Yeah.
So he would have had to say, well, no, I've got something from God that I'm going to hold on to. So for us as well, it's like, well, let's make sure that we've heard from God. That's what we're passionate about. That's what he's called us to. And then when those other voices do come of saying, no, you're too small, it's not going to happen through you. But we've got a conviction that comes from God.
That's right.
Not from man.
Very good.
Let's run with it.
Very, very good. I love that. And even I think when we go to God with vision and take time to craft a vision, like God's not always going to write it in the sky.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be okay with, hey, I'm going to pray through this. And if I'm getting a nudge of yes, or I'm not getting any no's, but this is what I'm excited about, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's just God saying, yeah, I put that in you. It's coming out of you right now.
Yeah.
And so be okay with that. It doesn't have to be like bomb going off in the sky.
Yeah. And then it's okay for it to change.
Of course, yeah, to be adapted, to shape, to change. Like obviously you don't want to be changing your vision every year. You want I think this is the thing, you want a central thing that you're building towards, an assignment.
Because people can do that because you might not see the level of success or the progress that maybe you want. And you're like, okay, let me change everything. So I don't think we need to fall into that trap.
Vision gets sacrificed.
Yes.
But what happens with vision and casting vision, and I agree with you with what you said about how vision makes you vulnerable. Because as soon as you put a vision out there, your deficiencies are immediately seen.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, if you didn't have any deficiencies with regards to your vision, then you would already be living your vision.
Yeah, you'd be there.
So that whole vision speaks to a gap that exists.
That's there. That's very real.
Yes.
That's very there. Yeah.
I'm here today. I want to be there tomorrow. And so now there's this gap.
Yeah.
And what I loved about when you were talking about Gideon is that the angel said to him, "You mighty warrior."
Yeah.
And for some of us, our visions die because we speak to the wrong people.
Yeah.
We speak to the critic. We speak to people that we're not confident about the vision yet.
Yeah.
And then they say it's a terrible thing. And then we agree with them.
Yeah.
We agree with the words of them.
Yeah, true.
What we need to find ourselves are people who love us and are actually encouragers in our life. And they can go, oh man, I'm pumped. That's fantastic. Let's keep praying together about that. Or yeah, I'm believing that God in you can do that kind of thing. So like actually put courage inside of you.
Yeah.
Like speak to those people about vision in the early days to build you up so that when you speak to people who are more critical, you don't look at them and go, oh, I don't want to talk to you. No, you go, okay, cool. Help me get this better.
Yeah. And we're all humans. So,
Totally.
So maybe the people in that family, maybe they don't even see the full picture, but they still love you enough to say, well, listen, if this is what God's calling you to, then cool, I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
In the back of their minds, they might, I think this is crazy.
Totally.
Which if you think about a lot of the moments in scripture where people were called to do amazing things, there was doubters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big time family that were doubting.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But I love what you're saying. It's like, well, who is going to be there in the early stages of it? You need encouragers.
Yeah.
Because if from day one, you're almost not super sure of it yet. You haven't got a deep conviction, and then every voice that's speaking to you about it is now telling you how the deficiency is bigger and you're never going to be able to get there. Geez, I don't think I would be able to step into vision if that was my story. But it isn't. We luckily have people around us that will encourage.
Yeah, brilliant. And we also got to be okay that not everyone's going to have the same vision as us or the same level of vision as us, right? When there are doubters, like when Martin Luther said, hey, I have a dream. Do you think everybody shared the dream? No, but they couldn't see it yet.
Yeah.
But that's why he was there.
Yeah.
And when, Mandela had a vision for a new South Africa, did everybody see it? No. But that's why that's why it came about, because there were people who could see.
There had to be a guy or a girl,
Yeah, and so you are that in your world. No one can see what you see. And so they're not going to share that. But here's the thing. If you want more people to go on the journey with you, we need to get better skilled at casting the vision, of sharing the vision. And that's where the repetition comes into sharing and talking and finding creative pictures and finding creative language and highlighting people who are living in that vision and just celebrating people who are moving in the vision, talking about it all the time with passion and excitement and painting the picture and, we're going to plant a church here and we're going to do this. And hey, we're putting money there. And like, it helps us to then begin to formulate a plan because you're drawing resource. People are saying, I want to be a part of that. That's exactly what God's put on my heart. And that's how God starts to formulate and build it together. And there's a lot more strategy and practicalities. But I just think if we could be bolder about our vision, I think it'll demand more of us.
Yeah, it will.
And it might take a whole lifetime. But I think it's worthwhile.
Good.
It's a worthwhile cost to pay.
Yeah, very good. I think even as we begin to wrap up, to take it back to that practical that you gave us, it's like, let's take time and let's not put it off. Let's take time soon, even in this week if possible, and to start thinking about a future and what we want our future to look like. And I love how you prioritize it, personal vision, and then even a bigger vision. It's like, think about your marriage. If you're not yet married, think about your future spouse. Think about the life that you're living currently, financially where you're at, and then begin to put things in place. Well, this is what I'd love for my life in 10 years' time or 5 years' time. And then from that place, you will begin to understand the parameters that vision brings and how it helps you bring clarity today. And then even from an organizational church or a business point of view, if you're not the lead guy, well, find out what the lead guy is saying, find out what the vision is for that organization, and then be a part of it and see God move, because there's something special about, especially the church, about being a part of something so much bigger than yourself. I feel like there's such a fulfillment in being a part of the body of Christ, especially being a part of something that is moving, and it's a living organism, and it's going somewhere, and we're just like, geez, just let me be a part of what God is doing. Just let me be on the bus. And I think these are two great things to do.
That sounds good. Yeah,
amazing.
I love it. Hopefully that's been helpful. I think we've had plenty of. Honestly, we could probably keep on talking over
this. This is easy.
Yeah. This for hours and hours and hours. I'm like refueled and refreshed by conversations like this.
Yeah.
Sorry about that bumping. But yeah, that's probably a good place for us to end the conversation.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know, like, if anybody wants to share some of the tools, tips that you've got on how you can formulate a vision, or any questions that you have about formulating vision, please just drop it in the comments section. Let us reach out to us on Instagram, and we can point you towards some good resources if we don't have the answers to the questions. And
definitely.
I definitely want to help.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We've loved it. We loved being with you today, and remember to join us next week. Remember, if you see the podcast on Facebook or on YouTube, just share it. Help us to get the word out. It's extremely powerful. We're seeing God move through our podcast. We want to be as helpful to as many people as possible. And what we didn't do is explain what the 167 is in the beginning of the episode. So if you are still here, viewers and listeners, the 167 podcast, who we are, there's 168 hours in the week. But we know that one of those hours are possibly spent in a church or a house of worship somewhere, but you still have 167 other hours where we can grow, develop, become more like Jesus. And that's what we like to do in this podcast. If you were a first-time guest, that's who we are.
Sure. No, for sure.
That's who we are. But God bless you guys. We trust that you have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you real soon.